We're the moms who ask the questions, digging deep, no second guessing. From the school run to the crime scene, truth and chaos, we're the dream team. Bad Kids Club, yeah, we ride or die. Sad eyes sharp and our standards high, brought together by FKR. Now we're taking truth real far, and we're just getting started. Talk time with Amy, Boston, and Kelly, spilling facts that hit your belly. Partners in crime, fueled by conviction. Moms on a mission with sharp intuition. Talk time, we're calling out lies with caffeine, chaos, and side-eyed vibes. It's raw, it's real, it's how we vent. Leaning close, let the reckoning commence. This is Talk Time with Amy, Boston, and Kelly, where the tea is hot and the truth cuts.
Hello, hello, hello. How are us? How are us doing? It's been a day. So we are playing the Lori Vallow interview. Should be starting shortly with Nate Eaton. We are not going to be on the screen. We're going to be off the screen. But if you're here, say hi. Well, hello.
Hey,
hello.
Mama.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm excited for tonight. I am excited for tonight. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Am I too loud? Lori Vallow. Okay, can we just talk quickly about Brian Kohlberger while we're waiting?
Sure. Like, I was kind of shocked.
I was so shocked. I am not. I'm surprised because I thought that they were gonna go all the way. Like I thought that they were gonna like Karen Reed, like just completely
take him down
for it. Like they were gonna go for it. But the state must have a smoking gun.
They have to have something on him because
they have got to have something on him that he took that plea deal because he say that. Remember in the beginning, and he was like, "I'm gonna get exonerated" or whatever.
Yeah, he said he didn't do it. He was looking at the stars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we do, right? When we kill somebody, we just go look at the stars.
Should we make this not members live because it looks like not many people are in here?
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah,
hold on. Where do I do it? I gotta go in the studio. Give me a second. Let me see here. I cannot wait to see this baby. I'm like so content right here.
I just turned it on because I wanted to make sure that we don't miss it starting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get it. Why can't I make it not why can't I make it not?
You should be able to change it.
You should be. Here we go. I got it.
You got it?
I got it. Here we go. I got it.
You got it?
I got it. There we go. I got it. You got it?
You hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm changing screens around too while we're doing this. I'm trying to make sure that we can see our stuff while we talk. I mean, because we don't need all the spots anymore. Like I had like 9 spots.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really need 9 spots anymore.
I don't think it's Members Live anymore, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Huh?
I said I don't think it's Members Live anymore, but
No, it says it was on subscriber only mode.
Okay, cool. But like the video might be members only, and I don't know.
But no, it just says members only can send messages.
Okay.
At least that's what I have.
Yeah, that's fine.
We get people in here. Let's see. Let me copy our thing and we're gonna start sending it to people.
I'm excited for back to back Koberger.
Yeah.
Okay, so Koberger, fucking wild. He took a plea, and I'm not gonna lie, like for my own reasons, I am I am kind of sad that there's not going to be a trial. Like,
yeah.
what?
No.
Oh my god.
I can't find the StreamYard link. What's he want? This is the YouTube link. Is he trying to get on with us?
I don't know how.
I don't know. I think Maddie wants a link. Yeah.
Wants a link?
A link.
A link?
Oh wait, yeah, a link.
All right, here you go, Molly.
I'm trying to see.
I'm gonna send it just to him. What's wrong?
Oh yeah. What?
Oh, nothing. I was talking to Steve.
Hi, Steve. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Hold on.
I just sent him a link. I'm just sending it to people on YouTube that I know or on Facebook that I know. Nah, man, I don't want them to have that one. That's not the one I wanted. Like send StreamYard links to people. Delete.
Okay, it is public now. All right, cool. All right. Anywho, all right. So I'm upset that we're not gonna be able to watch the trial because I wanted all of the data. I wanted all of the information. However, now that he has taken a plea, the gag order and everything may be released, and we might be able to get the information that
But you know how much money they freaking spent on this? Like
so much money, baby.
I mean, I'm already mad about the Karen Reed double trials. Like now you're talking about you spent all this money and moved a venue, and this person did not even just
they spent so much money. And not for nothing, I felt like what was her name? Ann Taylor. I think that she was over the case. I think she was overloaded. She took the case to be like I'm not even gonna say it, but you know who exactly what I'm talking about. One of her, and she wanted the publicity and the attention, and then she like realized how much work it was and how much evidence they had against him, and she probably talked him into she probably talked him into taking the plea deal.
Right.
Like I mean, would you have? I would. Yeah, I'm fascinated to find out the details.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they have us like sit down. I hope someone interviews them and actually sits down with them and he talks. That would be amazing.
Oh, hi, Glock. What are you doing, baby? We are streaming the Lori Vallow
Interview. There's an
interview with Nate Eaton. Thank you.
Nate Eaton.
What's happening? We are streaming the Lori Vallow live. I'm sorry, I can't even talk today. We are streaming the interview that Lori Vallow is giving with Nate Eaton from East Idaho News. If you are not subscribed to East Idaho News with Nate Eaton, he is amazing. He does a lot of stories. He was like on top of the Lori Vallow case since day one. He chased her down
in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, it was the best. I saw it live, girl.
I like subscribe to East Idaho News. They always have the best news.
Right, they do. We are not going to be on panel for this though. We're going to let it run. We will be in chat. And then after we will debrief for a few minutes about what we heard, because this lady is a wackadoodle. I got to go grab my coffee. I'll be right back, baby.
All right. Wackadoodle-doo. If you know somebody who you think would like it, please send it to them. I'm trying to like invite people, so we have some people. We got a couple people in here. Yes. Hi, Jen, my twin. Hi, baby. We are gonna stream. This is a 40-minute interview, unedited, and it's supposed to be really good. So Nate Eaton's been he's been waiting to interview her.
Hello, Jen O, my little lovey baby. I love you. Thank you for being here.
Natalie's here.
Oh, Natalie, mama. I love it. I knew we should have taken it off members. This is amazing. I love that all our bad kids are here. Oh, thanks, Glock. We love you. I'm excited too, Natalie. Listen, Nate is going to ask the good questions.
Oh, he's already, like, even in the 3-minute, like, teaser, he asked some good old question. Oh, there's Nate. All right, we're going to hop off the screen, guys, so we can watch it with you guys. Love you both.
We will be back at the end to be brief. Bye, guys.
I love you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. It is the last day of June 2025. I'm Nate Eaton. Thanks so much for being here. We kind of have a big show tonight. Not sure if you've heard, not sure what we'll talk about. Actually, we have a lot to talk about. Normally, if we didn't have a big interview coming up with Lori Vallow Daybell, we would talk about the big news that broke just this afternoon that Brian Kohberger has accepted a plea agreement. He will no longer be going to trial, a trial that was set to begin in just a few weeks. In exchange for pleading guilty, the death penalty has been taken off the table. He will serve life in prison without any possibility of appealing that plea agreement. So the victims' families received notice today. We're going to talk more about that on Wednesday when this hearing is going to be held in Boise. We won't spend really any time on that tonight, but wanted to keep you updated on that breaking news. Also, the horrifying news in northern Idaho yesterday with the firefighters who were ambushed and killed while responding to a fire. It has been a very, very busy few days for news here in eastern Idaho. But I want to thank you for spending your time here with me tonight. And I want to know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, you probably will have some questions by the time tonight is done. By the time the program is here, we have set up an email address, questions@eastidahonews.com. Send in your thoughts, ask questions as you're watching this interview. We will try to get to as many questions as we can tonight and tomorrow about my interview with Lori Vallow Daybell, because I want to answer as many as I can and would also love to know what you think of the interview. Be honest with me. I've heard so much from many of you that you aren't happy that I'm doing this interview, and many of you are thrilled that I'm doing the interview. So let me just kind of set the stage as to how this interview came to be. By the way, if I didn't say it, tonight, Lori Vallow Daybell is here on Courtroom Insider. I actually started communicating with Lori back in 2020. I reached out to her on the tablet when she was in the Madison County Jail in Rexburg. Inmates communicate via tablet. And I even sent her a letter in the mail, and she never wrote me back. In fact, the money that I put on her account to respond to me, she used, but I don't know who she used it on. Actually, I probably do know, her husband, Chad Daybell. And that happened back in 2020. I continued to go ahead and make contact with her, try to make contact with her, to the point that I sent a letter through her attorneys on the day she was found guilty in Idaho, and nothing. Well, after she was transferred to the prison in Pocatello, I remember one morning I was on a walk and I said, I'm just going to reach out to her again and see. So I set up an account. I sent a message. I said, I'd love to talk with you on or off the record. Let me know. And I sent the message and didn't think anything of it. That was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I then, that weekend, my son and I were going away for a boys' weekend away. And I told my wife before we left, I'm like, finally, for the first time in years, I can go away and I don't have to think about Lori Daybell. Because every time I'd go out of town, something would break in the case. My son and I left town, had a good Friday night at the arcade playing, go back to the hotel, go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I look at my phone and it says, you have a message from Lori Vallow. And I'm like, what? And it wouldn't open on my phone. And so I had to grab my computer and open it up. And Lori said, hi, something to the effect of, hi, Nate, I would be willing to talk with you as a friend off the record. I'm telling all you this now because she has told me I can share certain details. Many of you, that off the record is something that reporters use to maybe get a source to open up a little bit more. It's information that we promise not to divulge to the public if it's off the record. If it's on the record, we can divulge it all. And often reporters will go off the record to try to build a relationship with someone, like I did with Lori, to try to get more information maybe, or to try to use that information to go investigate or get something like that. And so Lori and I proceeded to talk. She said, I want to talk to you as a friend. We had never met, but we were frequently messaging. And it was, to be honest, the messaging back and forth was pretty bizarre. It was like we were old friends, and we talked about her recipes, her buttercream frosting that she makes on cupcakes, and it was just a little unusual. And she asked me to come and see her. at the prison. No cameras, no phone, just to go meet with her because she needed me to do something for her. And so I made the request. She wouldn't tell me what it is. I made the request to the jail and to the prison. And you have to fill out a form and they have to approve visits. And in the slot where it said, tell us how you know the inmate, the resident, I said, we met in Hawaii because we did. And my request was denied. And Lori wasn't happy about that. She went to the warden and told the warden, Nate Eaton needs to come and see me. And the warden said no. Lori and I continued to communicate. She was then moved to Arizona. And our communication became less and less frequent. I would reach out to her. She would see me in court. And that's just kind of where things went. Well, then a week ago Friday, I have an app on my phone that I use to communicate, not just with her, but with other inmates. It's kind of weird, I guess, but it's my job. I get a message from her out of the blue. Oh man, you all are sending in questions like crazy. By the way, Peggy Jepson, our comment moderator, Peggy's here. Everybody say hi to Peggy. She does a great job reading your questions and sending in your comments. So far, 37 of you have sent questions. I hope we can get through these all. Let me tell you what Lori sent me a week ago Friday. Caught me off guard. She said, okay, so if we, mind you, we had not communicated in like 6 or 7 months. And she said, okay, so if we do an interview, will you play the whole thing unedited? How will that work? And will you bring me M&Ms? We had talked about M&Ms in our first conversation when we were kind of getting to know each other, like what's your favorite candy and things like that. And she said M&Ms. I believe she said peanut M&Ms. So I wrote back, shocked. Okay, yes, we'll air the whole thing unedited, which I would have done anyway. And let me give you the caveat. I am going to air the whole thing unedited tonight, but I am going to fact check after the interview. I have a list of claims Lori made right here that I'm going to fact check for you. I went on to talk about how I could come in person, how we could do the interview on Zoom, whatever, or through the tablet, whatever she wanted. She wrote back, after being sick for so long, I could really use M&Ms. And then we talked about scheduling. And then she said, let me know what times work best for you. And we just kind of went back and forth. She wrote me, let me tell you how this works. I reached out to the PIO, the sheriff's office. Lori gets so many messages. She tells me she gets so many messages from people all over asking for interviews. Lori actually has to tell the jail, I want to interview with so-and-so. She has to give them her request. It's not like anyone can set it up with her. She has to request, because I asked the jail and they said, no, she needs to request it and she hasn't requested you. So I told her, you need to go in, you need to request me. So she did. And then she said, I will request with my sergeant an interview on Thursday at 11 for 1 hour and an interview on Friday at 11 for an hour. She wanted 2 hours. I would like to cover living with autism, living with chronic illness, pancreatitis, cruelty of the family court system, women facing the death penalty, unfairness of the judicial system, strengthening women through family tragedy. Let me know if you are still interested. Well, of course I was still interested, but this is my interview with her, not her interview with me. And I thought for sure we can touch on some of these topics, but as you'll see tonight, we did not touch on really any of them, or very few. So Monday comes around, nothing, no word. Tuesday, I get an email from the jail saying, your interview with Lori Vallow Daybell will happen Thursday at 10 a.m. You have 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes to set up and 30 minutes for the interview. We immediately started to book flights, arrange travel, And we were on a plane the next night, Wednesday night. We went over to the jail on Thursday morning. We did set up, and in walked Lori. Now, in the room with Lori, with me, Lori, our cameraman, Jordan, our photographer, Jordan, the amazing, extraordinary Jordan, who fixes everything, a producer who I'll tell you about after the interview, Lori's private investigator, Jeff White, was there. Her paralegal, Anna, was there. And then the PIO for the sheriff's office, along with 2 deputies from the jail. They were all in the room, and nothing was off limits. There were no topics off limits. The challenge as an interviewer with someone like Lori is maintaining control of the situation, asking questions, and not dwelling too long on one topic, because she will. And you'll see tonight that I had to bounce around to topics, otherwise she would have sucked up the whole time. And that's what I did. I bounced around from this topic over here. Also, you want to be courteous. You want to be professional. I know many of you have said, why didn't you punch her in the eye? Why didn't you punch her in the face? Why would you bring her M&Ms? Which I did. And you'll see what happened with the M&Ms at the end of the interview. Also, another element to all of this is that we were doing the interview on Lori's birthday. I did not know it was her birthday until the night before. So you will see I did wish her a happy birthday in the beginning to try to disarm her. And you know, different people have different interviewing tactics. I know many of you are going to, after this interview, are going to write me and say, you are a pathetic interviewer. You were too soft on her. You let her get away with this. I've heard it. Believe me, my neighbor came over a few days ago and said, why would you interview her? And I explained it to her, and we're still friends. But the reason I interviewed her, for those of you asking, is I'm a reporter. It's my job to ask questions. It's my job to try to figure out what people are thinking. Is she going to give me the honest truth? Probably not. No, she didn't. I believe she was honest in many of her questions. I believe she was not. I know she was not in many others. It's my job to ask questions. Now, it would be irresponsible of me if I had her on every single night. But to interview her once now, to get this, and then maybe go in depth down the road, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. So that sets it up how it all came to be. Now, I think we'll start. I'll go ahead and play this. Again, if you have questions, if you have comments, go ahead and send them in to me. This is my interview with Lori Vallow Daybell. Again, unedited, without any sort of breaks or anything, from the Australia jail in Maricopa County. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
You ready?
Yeah. Are any of my people here? Oh, okay. Hi.
Good to see you.
Nate, such a pleasure.
Have a seat. And
Long time coming, huh?
it has been. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So I want to start with Chad.
Okay.
You told me years ago.
Today is my birthday.
Today is your birthday.
How old do you think that I am?
52.
Oh, how did you know?
I do my research.
You must know a lot.
Yes.
The girls are like, are you turning 25 in my pod? And I was like, no, I'm turning 25 plus 25 plus 2.
There you go. So
Do the math.
You told me years ago Chad was the best man you've ever met.
Chad is a very kind person, yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
So besides his spirituality, what else attracts you to Chad?
He's a wonderful person. Everyone who knows him knows that. You've never met him, right?
I haven't met him other than when we were in Hawaii.
I'm saying you never met him, talked to him, interacted with him, or
No.
Yeah.
How often are you able to talk with him?
so we aren't really speaking.
By your own choice, or just because it's not allowed from like prison to prison?
Yeah, like the way that the mail works here is very difficult.
I see.
So we're only allowed to get postcards. Like you can't send a letter to the jail itself, and so there's difficulties within that.
But you still love him,
Absolutely. Yeah,
And you've said you'll be exonerated, and he will too.
absolutely. We will.
Will that be before he's executed?
Yes, Nate,
Okay.
before he's executed. You're well aware, I know that you are LDS as well as I am, right? And you're well aware that the 3 Nephites in 3 Nephi 28 were given the death penalty 7 times. They were arrested after Jesus personally translated them, okay? They were arrested, convicted, and given the death penalty 7 times. And where are they today?
I don't know.
They're still wandering the earth.
Yeah.
They didn't get executed.
So
They didn't get the death penalty. And there's 220 people in this country who have been on death row and have been exonerated and gone home.
do you think it'll be soon then?
I think it'll be in the Lord's time. I know that it will be in the Lord's time. And when you say the word soon, if you've ever watched The Chosen or dealt with Jesus at all, you know that soon is a relative term because 1,000 years are a day to him.
So does it bother you though that in Chad's trial he blamed it on you and Alex?
So now that I know the judicial system and now that I have been my own attorney and how things work, and I've said this before in an interview, it's so different what goes on behind the scenes in a high profile case. Okay. There's strategies going on. There's defenses going on. There's all these things going on that you wish, like, why can't we just go in and tell our side of the story? The attorneys are like, you can't do that. We have to come up with the defense and we have to do this and we have to do this. And like, why do we just go? Why isn't it you thought, like, if you've never been in the judicial system, which I hadn't before, you thought they get to tell their side of the story, what they think happened. You get to go in and tell your side of the story of what happened. And then the jury gets to decide. And that's not what happens. That's not what happens at all. And it's so sad and disappointing that that's.
So you think,
way
Chad,
that it
they had to
goes.
come up with a defense just to have one in court? You don't think he really believed or blamed all of this on you and Alex?
Absolutely. And I know that for a fact because John Pryor came and told me that prior to trial.
He did. He said, this is going to be our defense.
He said, I'm going to blame you, and Chad doesn't want me to, and he wants you to know that. And this is the kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, that nobody knows what's going on. There's so much stuff going on that you wouldn't even believe all the things that go on. The experts that are being paid, the things that are going on. We got this expert, we paid him $1 million to say the opposite of whatever your expert's going to say. Like, what do you mean they paid him? The state paid an expert $1 million retainer to say whatever the opposite of what our state, what
in
our witness
Arizona or Idaho?
in Idaho was what our witness is going to say. And the attorneys told me this, and I'm like, are you kidding?
But
Like,
you didn't have any witnesses.
we did. Yeah, in the buildup, we did.
But then
We
you
absolutely
didn't
did.
call him.
Well, there's reasons for that, that there's strategies involved. There's things going on. And you have no control when you have attorneys.
And that's
They're
why,
doing it how they want to
and that's
do
why
it.
you wanted to be your own attorney.
There's several reasons. The number one reason was because they wanted me to sit here for 5 years while they got to know the case. And I wanted a speedy trial.
Can we go back to Hawaii? When I first met you and Chad.
And we didn't meet. You just put a microphone in my face.
Okay, when I put
Now we've met.
we have met. You're right. Why didn't you just tell me where the kids were?
Because I was not ready to talk about it at all at that point. I was just not ready. It was very traumatic and I was not ready for any of that.
Are you ready to talk now?
I have talked about it already. Yeah. I feel like a lot of things have happened in these last 5.5 years to give me strength through that tragedy that happened with my children. And I've been a lot more open in being able to talk about it now and through therapy also, like some post-traumatic stress therapy, because it's traumatic. And I'm living in here with some beautiful, intelligent, smart women. And had I never come to Arizona, and I know God put me here for a purpose, because I didn't think Arizona was going to come and get me. In fact, I think you and I had a talk about that, because there was an article that came out in Idaho saying that Arizona was not going to come and extradite me until all my appeals were finished. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
And I think, and then my
It's
appeals.
like the next day that you were gone.
Yeah, the next day they came and got me. And my appeals attorney was supposed to come. He had an appointment that day when they came to get me to drive down from Boise to Pocatello for us to have a meeting. And they didn't even tell him I was gone. Like, I was just gone that day. They came the next day. So I didn't think they were coming.
You mentioned a tragedy, and you said that this has all been a family tragedy.
Yes,
And it has been a huge tragedy. All of
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
4 juries have said you and Chad and Alex caused the tragedy.
Yeah. That's the judicial system.
But how do you argue with that if all of this evidence came out that showed, that you, Chad?
The only evidence that ever came out is the evidence state wanted to put forth.
Well,
They
you could-
they
you could put-
manipulate the evidence to make it look however they want.
But you
And
could
guess who
present
helps them?
evidence.
The media helps them, because from day one, when someone called you, okay, day one, whether it was Detective Hope or Detective Hermosillo, I'm not sure, called you and said, hey, Nate Eaton, this is going to be the biggest story of your life. And they got that information from Heather Daybell. And Heather Daybell and Detective Hoper are connected, right? Because their kids got married, and they called and she said, oh, I have a story for you. These people killed their spouses so they could get married, which was totally a rumor,
I don't think
totally
that's true, Lori.
untrue. And then you ran with it and you got famous from it, and everybody knows what happened from there, right? So that's the way it goes. So the media put out their narrative. They kept on with it. The state went along with it. The state leaked stuff to the media to say what they wanted.
What's false about
Oh
the
my
narrative?
gosh, everything.
Your children were found dead in Chad's backyard. That's not wrong.
That's
Tylee was chopped up and burned. That's
No.
not wrong.
no, that's all mixed up. That wasn't.
I
the-
saw photos of JJ wrapped in plastic and duct tape. That wasn't wrong.
Okay, I understand what you're saying of those facts. Those facts in and of themselves are wrapped around a whole lot of untruth.
About
And-
how they ended up there.
Correct.
So if Tylee killed JJ and then felt bad and committed suicide,
Mhm.
how did she die first?
She didn't.
She didn't?
That's part of their whole fake narrative. That's
Who
part.
burned her and chopped her up?
That's part of everything that they were doing. So I don't really want to get into all of those details with you, because you obviously are very set in your mind. I'm not here to change people's minds.
I want you to
Other-
change my mind. I'd love to hear any evidence or facts you have that might make me think, you know what, they have it wrong, but I haven't heard anything otherwise.
That's because you've been pushing this narrative for 5.5 years. Do you not telling me that your mind is not set on what it is already?
Minds can change.
They could change
Right.
if they're open to change.
Right.
Okay. So miracles are on the way. And you remember I asked you to watch a movie?
Yes. Evan Almighty.
I did. And did you watch that movie?
I did.
And did you identify yourself with the reporter in that movie?
I don't know if I identified myself with. Did you identify him with me?
Yes, absolutely.
So what does that mean?
Okay. So when did the reporter change his mind?
Remind me.
When he was floating in the flood on the ark. Okay. Not until God showed the miracle did his mind change. His mind was like, this is a crazy guy. He thinks he's like Noah. Why are you so crazy? He's pushing the narrative, right? He pushed the narrative. And then the flood came. And he's the first one screaming. And he's screaming and he's running for the ark, because he had been pushing this narrative the whole time, right? This fake, false narrative that this guy was crazy, that God didn't talk to him, that all these things have happened, right? That these weren't God things that happened, okay? So then he's the first one to get on there screaming. And when he's floating down the river on the flood is when his mind was changed. So when you're open to changing your mind, I will be happy to enlighten you to the things of God.
Well, I would love to hear
I'm
what
sure
you
you
have to
would.
say. I wish we had more than 30
I wish
minutes.
we had more time too, because
Okay.
we could really get into it.
A couple of more questions for you, and then I know that you have some things you want to say. The night before Alex died, he told Zulema, I think I'm their fall guy. Was he?
No, absolutely not. And I don't think he ever said that. I watched Zulema go through probably 13, 14, 15 hours of detectives grilling her. I've watched the interviews. I've watched them all. And I watched her be berated by them, threatened by them, that they're going to arrest her, that she had a part in this, that she's a co-conspirator, and all this stuff, until they got her to say exactly what they wanted her to say. And she made that up. She made up a lot of stuff. And I felt bad for her, because I didn't want her arrested, because she wasn't part of any conspiracy, because there wasn't any conspiracy. And I felt really bad for her. I do love Zulema.
Did you and Chad have anything to do with Alex's death?
No, absolutely not. We were very surprised. No.
What were you and Chad and Alex doing in the storage unit, moving the tire and the seat back and forth on the day that Brandon was shot at and the day after?
So that's so silly that is. So there was stuff in my garage that I was starting to move into the storage unit. That's what we were doing. And so I moved that stuff in there.
The tire on the Jeep?
I moved stuff that had been in there, just sitting in there. It had been sitting in there. So I didn't have enough room to park. So I couldn't carry it. It was heavy. So I had Chad help me put it in. And the next day, Alex was like, where's all that stuff in the garage? And I was like, I went and put it in the storage unit. He was like, oh, I need that. So we went and got it. And that was it.
Can you see how, let's say you're not here. Let's say you're
Sure.
at home and you find out about this story. You do all your research. You go through all the court documents. You watch the trial. And you're watching another woman going through exactly what you're going through. Can you see how it sounds kind of crazy what you're saying? Like the fact that this was all a coincidence, or you were just moving stuff in and out?
Yeah, because the narrative has trained the people.
But
the
if you
narrative
did
has
your
trained the
own
people.
research,
The narrative has trained the people. I have people come up to me all the time in the jail. I know everything about your case. I've watched everything. And they have every fact wrong.
but aren't you in isolation? Are you able to talk with other inmates?
Yeah, you have no idea what it's like in there. Okay, I'm in max security. I'm in PC, which I didn't choose to be, but they put me in there for safety reasons.
Tell me what PC means.
So, protection.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to
Protective
know.
custody.
Protective custody, yes.
Okay.
And so I'm in a max pod with all the other women that are max. So there's like 8 women in my pod that are facing the death penalty. Okay. We're all in rooms in there, and we are all in there 23 hours a day. And we get 1 hour out a day to take a shower and clean our rooms. And that's how it is in there. But all of our doors have openings so we can talk to each other even through the doors. And so, yeah, so I'm not isolated. But when I am transported to court, like for my 2 trials, right, I'm with the women all day long that don't normally see me. So I'm friends with everybody in my pod, but other women will shout out to me that, oh, I know everything about you. I know everything about your story. And they've been so indoctrinated by the media and their narrative that they put out. And nobody was asking me what's happening. Nobody asked
I
Chad
tried
what was
to.
happening. Well, would you have listened then? You have to.
Absolutely. I wish
You need to be on the boat, Nate. Are you on the boat yet? Because when you're on the boat, Nate, I am going to be happy to share all this stuff with you because miracles are on the way.
I wanted to.
Miracles are on the way. And when you're on the boat, that's why I sent you that last
video.
message. Well, I sent you the last message saying, when you're on the boat, you'll be ready.
So
When you're on the boat.
you say Jesus is your friend.
Absolutely.
Does he support cheating on your spouse?
We weren't cheating.
Does he support killing your husband?
I didn't kill anybody ever.
Killing your kids?
I didn't kill anybody.
Killing
as you
your
know.
boyfriend's wife?
Okay. Was I in Hawaii when Tammy died? How did I kill her? Are you going to explain that to the world now?
Using,
How did I do that?
Using your kids' money while they're dead?
Okay, all that is messed up too.
How
That's
did
all lies.
how did you rent that unit in Hawaii? With
That's
what
all
money?
lies. Chad rented it. I did not
Chad
rent
didn't
it.
have any money until Tammy died.
Chad rented it with his own money.
Okay.
Chad was an author and a publisher and had his own company.
So
that's what I'm saying. You're
getting $30,000 a year. with
No,
that
but you're
company.
giving up facts that you don't. You're giving up whatever the state put up. They don't put up the whole story, Nate.
And that's
They just put up tiny pieces to put together their own narrative. That's it. You don't know anything about our lives or how they were or what we were doing in the temple.
Yours-
What we were doing in the temple every single day.
while you were in the temple while Tammy was still alive. You were in the temple with Chad.
Several times, yes.
Right. So he's married to Tammy.
Correct. Tammy came to the temple with us too.
The 3 of you.
At some points, yes.
How many times?
Probably twice.
When is this narrative going to come out? When are you saying the full story is going to come out? Like your side, what really
So
happened?
I'm writing it. And I'm going to write out every single thing from beginning to end so that people can really understand, because you can't understand what happened with Tylee and JJ unless you understand what happened to Tylee in her life. You have to know Tylee's whole story from beginning to end. And when you know what happened in Tylee's life, you start to understand. The understanding, the lights click on. But nobody has said that. This lady got up in Idaho. It was 1 year after I had been arrested, and it was going to be Tylee's birthday. And there was a lady in Idaho Falls, and they were having some kind of vigil. And it was on the news because I was in a pod by myself at Madison County, right? And I'm watching the news, and this lady comes on, and she says, oh, you know, it would have been Tylee's 18th birthday because she died 2 days before her 17th birthday. And she said, it would have been Tylee's 18th birthday today. And if Tylee were here, she would be out with her friends and she would be singing and dancing and she would be doing all these things. And this is a lady who has never met Tylee, never knew her, never knew anything about her life or our life. And I was like, do you know how many of Tylee's birthdays we spent in the hospital with her screaming in pain while she's on morphine, and the morphine isn't enough to take away the pain.
Wait. Are you really blaming this all on Tylee?
No, absolutely not. I'm saying Tylee had a really hard life, and people don't
So
understand.
how does that tie into her death and your son's death and Charles being shot and Brandon being shot at and Tammy's death?
Okay,
Her
all
illness.
those things connected, right? It's a domino effect. So in 2017, I was told by the Lord that I was going to become like Job and lose everything. Will I do this job if I lose everything? And so this domino effect of things happened. This is all the Lord's doing. And guess what? He's going to come forward and tell it all. And I don't have to. But I am writing it all down for posterity. I am writing it all down because you know what he told me? You know what Jesus told me? He said, this is going to be real good scripture reading in the future. So if you go back and you read the scriptures and you find all these stories that were going, what do you think is going to happen? These are the last days, right? We believe that. You believe that, right?
When can I get a copy of this? Because I want to read it.
But you're going to, the whole world's going to get to read it. I'm working on it. I work on it every day. Jeff's like, what are you doing in there all day? It's like, I'm writing. It's coming to me. I'm writing.
When you were on trial in Idaho, didn't you say that Jesus was going to be back before the end of that trial?
Okay, who said I said that?
I'm asking you, did you say
No,
that? You never
absolutely
said
not.
that.
I have never, Chad has never, we've never given a date or a time. The prophet,
July 20, where'd July 20th
somebody
come from?
made that up and put it on there. I have never said it. Chad has never said it. We've never had a date. We're going with what the prophet says. When President Nelson gets up and says, these are the last days, we need to prepare for the second coming. We need to gather Israel on both sides of the veil. That's what we were doing. That's what we were working on. And we wait for his timing. The Lord has his own timing. He's never early. He's never late.
Why has
His
Chad been
timing
excommunicated?
is great. So I think that was false too. That was mean. That was mean.
To excommunicate him?
Absolutely.
Are you still a member?
As far as I know.
Okay. So Lori, if you could go back 6 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
June of 2019,
Okay.
would you change anything that's happened over the past 6 years?
Oh, that's a good question, Nate. I don't think I could because
could.
we were foreordained to do this mission, right? The Lord is using Chad and I right now, and this is what he's told us, as instruments in his hands. What do you think he's trying to teach the people, especially his people, his church? What do you think he's trying to teach his people right now while he separates the wheat from the tares? He has to have an earthquake. It has to be so detrimental. It has to be get everybody's attention. Our case has done that. And what is he doing with that divide? He calls it, you know what Jesus told me? He calls it the great divide. What do you think he's doing with it?
I don't know, but
He's teaching people not to judge. Don't judge something. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. Don't judge. That's what he's doing. And he's separating the wheat from the tares right now in his own house. And he's using Chad and I to do it.
So what if you end up going to Pocatello in a few weeks
Yes.
and spending the next 30 or 40 birthdays
Right?
there behind bars?
That would be God's will, but I'll tell you right now, that's not going to happen.
It's not
It
gonna
is
happen.
not going to be 20 or 30 years. No, it is not going to be 20 or 30 years. I will testify to that right now.
So if it's not, how about we meet every year on your birthday and we do a follow-up interview and you can give me the timeline?
Absolutely. I don't have a timeline other than what the prophet has said. Did you watch this last conference? Did you watch it?
Are you able to watch it in here?
No, but I was
Did
at
you
the
read it?
prison. At the prison, I was able to listen to it because on your tablet you have AM FM radio, so you can listen to the
okay.
whole thing. So I got to listen to it the last time before I came. But they did have one. They have one. I think it's a 2023 conference on our tablet here. So I've watched it over and over. But all the prophets, all the apostles, everyone in the LDS church is saying, prepare, gather Israel on both sides of the veil. I was going to the temple. I went to the temple every day for like 3 years. I was doing all Charles' family's work. I was doing all my family's work. I was gathering Israel on both sides of the veil. And Jesus came there. That's his house. And he talked to me and he told me that he needed me to do a mission for him. And this is what we're doing. And the media has turned it all around, but it was supposed to be. You know, there's always a Judas. And I almost used to think of you as the Judas.
Me? Was I on the dark list?
No, but this is what I'm saying. There's a Judas. People think that Judas is a villain. Judas is not a villain. You know what Judas was? Judas was a vessel. Judas was a vessel for God's plan to come to fruition. And he told me the other day, it's coming to full fruition.
God did.
Yes. So when we are, just like he told Noah, who was what? Steve Carell in the movie, right? So God came there and talked to Steve Carell. Is that true? In the movie?
Yep.
And the media guy didn't believe him, right? This guy's crazy, right? God didn't talk to him, didn't tell him to do it, didn't tell him to build a boat, buy all those lots, make his wife mad, spend all his money, build a boat, because that whole thing was going to get wiped out, right? So God has told me lots of things, and this is one of the things that he told me. He's using us as instruments in his hands to separate the wheat from the tares.
Did you ever
And
think
people are choosing. Do you know how many people have left the church over our case? Which, what does our case have to do with the church? Nothing. Has nothing to do with the church. We're not against the church.
Did you ever think you'd have the title of convicted serial killer?
No, do I?
Well, for people,
I mean, I guess you could technically say that, but everyone in the world knows that I didn't hurt anyone. I've never hurt anyone in my whole entire life.
well, years ago, everybody I've talked to, your friends, family, say you were a great mom, so much fun, loved to dance, loved music, loved to travel. You were the light of the party. And here we are in a jail. How did you get from there to here?
God put me here for his purpose. And so you know who he needs? He needs somebody who's the life of the party, somebody who teaches the girls how to work out, somebody who teaches the girls how to have fun and dance and do all those things in this, the worst jail in the country. He needed somebody to come in to the worst jail in the country and strengthen these women. And I'll tell you what happened. We used to have this wonderful lady, and she used to come in, and she's from mental health. She used to come in on Tuesdays, and she'd be down there, and she's blonde, and she's really cute, and she's really fun. She's bubbly like me. And she would come down there, and she'd try to get the girls to work out and give them coping mechanisms and talk to them about stuff like that. And half of the girls didn't like her. They thought she was annoying, and they were waking her up and stuff like that. Because you know why? She wasn't one of them. She wasn't one of them. But you know what I have? I have 7 lifetimes. I have worse.
So you're on your
punishments.
7th life now?
No. I'm saying I got 5 life sentences in
Oh,
Idaho.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
I've got another one here and another one here.
I was talking about
pending.
the multiple probations.
No, I'm talking about
Your
I am-
sentences for
I'm
prison, right.
sentenced to 7 lifetimes right
Right.
now, basically.
Why didn't
right?
you tell all this to the police?
So
Why didn't you tell them all this when you were arrested? Explain this to them. You know, God's told me to do this. Give your defense.
really, what happens to people when they say God told them to do something? They lock them up.
Well,
I'm locked up.
well,
That's
whatever
it.
the reasoning, if you really did think Tylee was responsible for this, why don't you tell the police? She had chronic, pancreatitis.
Pancreatitis.
JJ had autism.
That's
all of
right.
these things.
All of these things.
Why didn't you
She
tell
was
the police?
sexually abused by her dad from the time she was 3 years old and forced by family court to go to him for 10 years. You don't think that was hard on her?
I'm
She
sure-
was in the hospital
Right.
all the time. She
Why
had
not tell the
chronic
police
pain.
this? Why not tell the police all this?
At the very beginning, or what are you talking
Whenever.
about?
I don't think you've ever talked to a cop, have you?
You know when I called the cops? I called the cops 2 times in my life. Guess what happened to me? I called the cops when I was pregnant with Colby, and his dad had beat me up, and I had a black eye, and I was thrown down the stairs, and I was 8 months pregnant. You know what they did? Nothing. They did not help me. And the second time I called the cops is when Colby was 10 years old, and we were at church, and we came in the car home, and he told me how Joe had molested him, and he didn't want the same thing to happen to Tylee. She was only 3 years old. Okay, I called the cops. And guess what I did? I called them and I said, hey, this stuff happened. I don't know what to do. They said, we don't care. Call the county where it happened. So I called that county and I told them the whole story. Like, my son just came to me. He's 10 years old. This happened, blah, blah, blah. They said, we don't care. Call the county where the perpetrator is living. So I called that county and I said, this is what happened. And nobody would talk to us. And then the county finally called me back where it had happened, where we had lived previously. And they said, okay, come in tomorrow, bring the kids in, and we'll forensically interview them. Okay. So we did all that. I did everything that the cops asked me to do. And then when I was in there, they said, after they met with Colby, they interviewed him for 45 minutes. They interviewed Tylee. They came out. They said, Colby met all the criteria we used to prosecute, and we're going to prosecute him, and we're going to keep your kids safe. And then they did nothing. And Joe hired a criminal attorney and they did nothing. And he never got indicted. And nobody ever even looked him in the eye and said, did you rape your children? And for 10 years, the judge told me that if I didn't take Tylee to him every other weekend and 30 days in the summer and every Thursday night, that she would put me in jail. If I was late for one visitation of dropping her off at a dad who was raping her in the middle of the night, that I would be put in jail if I didn't abide by that.
Did you have anything to do with Joe's death?
No.
Did
Joe-
Alex?
No, we didn't even know. We were living in Hawaii. We had come back. Tylee was forced to go to him for 10 years by the courts. Hated it. Came home and cried, screamed, kicked, hit Colby, hit Cole, hit Zach, scratched him, yelled, threw things through the walls, was a nightmare, had night terrors, never slept at night. Tylee never went to sleep before 3 o'clock in the morning. She's 5 years old. She can't go to sleep. I have to stay in bed with her till 3 o'clock in the morning, rubbing her back because she can't sleep, because bad people wake you up in the middle of the night to do bad things to you, mommy. And so Tylee was a nightmare. Charles thought she was a brat. I didn't discipline her. Then I was in the hospital with her, watching her scream and writhe in pain while she's on morphine because it doesn't work.
I've interviewed several jurors. You may have seen the interviews.
I haven't seen any juror interviews, none.
And
I have no access. I'm in here 23 hours a day. I'm in max security. We don't have access to
Right.
anything.
well,
So I
they've
haven't
said
seen anything for a year and a half since I've been over here.
they've said they were disappointed that they wanted to hear from you, that you
Yeah.
didn't have a defense, especially in Idaho.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If I get up on the stand and Trina Kay's sitting there, or
Rob
what's her
Wood.
name? Lindsay Blake, Rob Wood,
Right.
right? And they're sitting there. Are they going to let me tell Tylee's story on the stand? You know they're not. They're going to object every 2 seconds.
If it's relevant to
Never,
the case.
I'm writing it out. No, they won't, because they don't want me to tell that story, because it's opposite of their narrative. It crushes their narrative.
But you-
It crumbles their narrative.
But you,
It's never going to
but
be
you know,
what it is.
as a defense attorney,
Yeah.
you present your defense. So you would have witnesses that would come in and would testify to the things you're saying and would give
I
evidence
love it,
to
Nate.
that.
You're just as naive as I was, and I love it, because guess what? I found out as a defense attorney. This is what happened with Judge Boreski. This is what happened. They don't let you put on a defense. Do you know how many motions I had on, or not motions? Do you know how many exhibits I had on to get ready for us to present our case for the first trial?
How many?
We had 33 exhibits. We put them up there. Trina Kay went up there. She gets to look at all your exhibits, right? This is how it works in law. She gets to look and see what all our things are, what we're putting up. Guess what I had? I had about 5 interviews with one of the cops who said, I have to get Lori on something. I have to find something to charge her with. I have him saying this on video.
Which cops?
Okay, Detective Moffat. Guess what happens? So I have 4 of those are my exhibits. I'm waiting for Detective Moffat to get on the stand. The state says they're going to put on Detective Moffat. Guess who they don't put on at all?
Moffat.
Detective Moffat. They go around you, and then the judge didn't let me put in one exhibit, not one.
What if you
He
had
didn't
waived,
let me put one exhibit on.
what if
not
you had
one.
waived your right to a trial though and given your legal team another year or so to go through all of that? Don't you think that would have helped your case?
No, not at all. Because guess what my team said? They said he wouldn't have let us put it on either. There's so many jobs, so much political aspiration going on behind the scenes in a high profile case. There is no way in heaven that they were going to let me get up there and win as a pro per client. Because you know what? It's like a virus in here. Do you know these girls that are treated so bad by their defense teams that are making $1.5 million a year while they sit here for 8 years, 10 years waiting to go to trial? There's girls in here that have been in here for 10 years. Do you know what happens when you have a toothache in this jail? They pull out your teeth. So tell me how it's not prejudicial for you to go into trial with 5 of your teeth missing and you look like a homeless person and the jury's there judging you, right? And because you've been sitting in a jail that doesn't have any dental for you for 8 years waiting to go to trial.
You mentioned a virus. Were you really
Hold up. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Computer froze up. Let me see if we got it. Here we go. Let me rewind it. Sorry about that, everybody. Here we go.
There's no way in heaven that they were going to let me get up there and win as a pro per client. Because you know what? It's like a virus in here. Do you know these girls that are treated so bad by their defense teams a year while they sit here for 8 years, 10 years waiting to go to trial? There's girls in here that waiting to go to trial. There's girls in here that have been in here for 10 years. Do you know what happens when you have a toothache in this jail? They pull out your teeth. So tell me how it's not prejudicial for you to go into trial with 5 of your teeth missing and you look like a homeless person and the jury's there judging you, right? And because you've been sitting in a jail that doesn't have any dental for you for 8 years, waiting to go to trial.
You mentioned a virus. Were you really?
Okay. Hold up. Sorry, there must have been a glitch. My computer's yelling at me. I'm gonna finish this. Sorry, I promise this wasn't planned. Somebody has hexed my computer. I wonder who. Here we go, everybody. I believe this is where we were at.
Go around you, and then the judge didn't let me put in one exhibit, not one.
What if you had
He didn't let me put one exhibit on.
What if
not
you had
one.
waived your right?
Called you. She called you through.
I didn't talk
Detective
to
Hope.
detective.
For Detective Moffat to get on the stand. The state says they're going to put on Detective Moffat. Guess who they don't put on at all?
Moffat.
Detective Moffat. They go around you, and then the judge didn't let me put in one exhibit, not one.
What if you had
He didn't let me put one exhibit on.
What if
not
you had
one.
waived your right to a trial, though, and given your legal team another year or so to go through all of that?
Okay, everybody, hold up. For some reason, this program, I apologize. How unprofessional of me. Let me get in the actual program and play this for you, play the rest of the interview. So what are your thoughts so far? By the way, if you're just tuning in, we will post the whole interview without any gaps or whatnot that you can watch when this is all done. Let me make sure I see where we're at here. Sorry about that. I have it here. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts so far, everybody. I think this is where we're at. Let me pull it up here. Giving you a peek behind the curtain with here. We should start right here. And we're good.
Any remorse? Any apology? Anything?
Bad about anything that's a really broad
It
question.
is a broad question. About the past 6 years. Any? Do you feel bad about?
Do I
all
have
this?
bad feelings about anyone?
Not
or,
bad feelings. Do you personally feel bad or feel some remorse for the victims in these cases?
None of the people are victims. So
Are you the victim? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
I'm not saying I'm a victim at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm an instrument in God's hands. The victims that you call victims are not victims. Tammy died of natural causes.
The coroner disagreed with that. The coroner
Which
said,
coroner are you talking about? The one the
Brenda
state put
died.
on?
Brenda died, the county
Okay.
coroner,
Okay.
who said she was asphyxiated. So aren't her kids victims?
Okay, no. Do her kids feel like they're victims? No, they don't. They understand the truth. But let me
What
tell you
about her
something.
siblings?
Let me tell you something about Brenda Dye for a second. Let's go back to that because you said the coroner, and that is not even a true
She
statement.
originally ordered it as natural causes. You're right.
Oh, thank you, Nate. A
But
fact, a
then
true fact.
Then they
Okay.
exhumed her body the day before Alex died, which
Okay.
looks suspicious with Alex's death. They exhumed her body and they said, no, she had the marks.
Did you hear what you just said?
What?
Looks suspicious. Who exhumed her? Why did they exhume her when she had a natural death?
So you're saying.
Why did they exhume her when she had a natural death? What was the explanation for exhuming her when she had a natural death from the coroner? The coroner said it. Why?
Because you and Chad were under investigation and they thought that you all might have killed her.
Why? Because of Heather Daybell and what she said at the very beginning and called you up to say? That's
Heather-
exactly where you're getting
Heather
it.
Daybell
That's
did
where
not
you're
call me.
getting
Heather
it, Nate.
Daybell
I
did-
didn't say she called you. She called you through
I
Detective
didn't talk to
Hope.
Detective Hope at all.
Did you talk to Hermosillo?
I don't remember talking to Hermosillo. The tip I got when you were in Hawaii was from none of those people.
It was before we went to Hawaii. It's before you went to Hawaii. How'd you get a tip
We-
before you showed up in
we-
Hawaii?
we-
You obviously had a tip before you
We
showed up
found
in
out
Hawaii.
about this case
Yeah.
when the police sent out a news release. And then somebody random, I still to this day don't know, and I swear to you, to this day, we got a Facebook message from
Mm-hmm.
an anonymous account with a GPS location of where you and Chad were. I
Someone
swear to
did
you.
not. No, you were in an interview with someone. I did see a tiny little piece of an interview. I think you had Hermosillo and someone in an interview, and they were saying, didn't someone call you up and say, this is going to be the biggest story of your life, Nate Eaton?
Oh, a police detective did tell me that, Eric. But it's not.
Who was it?
It's not the people that you named. It's a source. So
You're not going to tell me your source, but you know everything about me, but you're not going to tell me your source.
There's a lot I don't know about you, Lori. Back to the question of you don't feel bad. You're saying none of these people are victims.
I feel
Kay
bad,
and Larry
of
aren't
course.
victims. Brandon's not a victim.
No. I'm not saying that people haven't had hard things happen to them in their life. Everyone has hard things happen to them in their life, right? The judicial system plays up the victim thing pretty big, right? We've seen it happen. The people who lost their children, I lost my children. I lost them.
But people, because of what you did.
What did I do to them?
You arranged with Alex to conspire to kill them.
No, I did not.
And
Absolutely
Chad.
not. Absolutely
Did you
not.
know that they were in Chad's backyard?
Absolutely
Or
not.
did I?
No, I did not know that. I did not know where they were. Alex told me that he was put them in a safe place. That's what he
So
told me.
did you find out at the court at the first trial? Is that the first time you'd seen those autopsy photos?
Yeah, I hadn't ever seen them. I never looked at them before that.
Okay.
Because that's not how I picture my children. I know where they are in heaven. I know what they're doing. They have come to visit me. So I don't see them as bones. If anybody dies and you go to a cemetery and you dig them up 9 months later, you're not going to like what you find. It's not going to be
They're
pretty.
not going to look like that, Lori. They're not going to
I'm
look
saying
like Tylee.
anybody isn't going to look like that. I'm saying once your spirit leaves your body and goes to heaven, okay? Because I died, right? When I was giving birth to Tylee, I died. And my spirit left my body. And guess what happened? When you're out of your body and you're your real self and your eternal self and who you are, you could care less what happens to your body. I've had that experience. Chad's had that experience. There's others that have had that experience. So the body dies. Everyone's dying, right? We're all going to die. Our bodies are all going to go back to the earth where they were from. And we carry on. We move on. So my children are in their eternity. They're doing well. They're happy. They're moving on. They don't want me to be sad. They came to me because they don't want me to be sad. They said, Mom, you didn't do anything wrong.
I've got one last question for you.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that say I shouldn't have interviewed you. Well, they don't know I've interviewed you, but they say that you don't deserve a platform because of what you've done, what you've been found guilty of. Do they have a point?
In this unfair judicial system, anybody could be found guilty of anything. And I would tell to the people, I would say, be careful who you're judging, because anybody could end up in orange. You could be living your little life in the suburban bubble like I was, and anybody could end up in orange. Anybody, because they can turn this on anybody. There's women in here, beautiful, smart, intelligent women that have had their children die, and they're family tragedies, and they're not crimes. And the state has turned them into crimes, and they're not crimes. And what I got accused of and convicted of, just like the 3 Nephites, what crime did they commit that they got 7 death penalties for? What crime did they commit that they got 7 death penalties for? I'm in good company. I'm in good company, and in heaven, I will be in their company. And I didn't do anything that deserves this kind of punishment. But God did want me here. He did want me in here with these women. And he wanted me to lift and strengthen women and uplift them in these family tragedies. There's women in here that have suffered the same things I have. They've been here for years, waiting to go to trial. They haven't even gone to trial yet. But it's an unfair system, and they probably will get convicted. And then we'll see each other at the prison, and we'll uplift each other there until Jesus comes. And when he comes, he's going to set everybody in the prisons free. And all those who are unjustly and wrongfully convicted, like me and like these others, we will be walking free on this earth, and we will be walking with Jesus, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay, I have 15 cards, but I'm getting the wrap. So thank you, Lori, for chatting with me, and maybe we can chat again.
Maybe
another
we can
time.
do it again sometime.
Okay. Thank you. Happy birthday.
See ya.
Evans, can I have you? No? Are you guys going to mute me? Yeah.
And there she goes. She did not get the M&Ms. Many of you were saying you were having audio issues. If you were, go ahead and refresh your screen. Go ahead and refresh your computer. There is one part that I'm going to try to get for you right now that about, shoot, I don't have it here. You know what? I will play it tomorrow. It's about Lori being sick. That's where my audio glitched. For some reason, that clip had an issue. I apologize to you. I will have it for you tomorrow. I asked her if she was really sick in court, and she responded. There is another clip. I have to tell you that I was not included, but I think after watching tonight, I think I'm going to show it to you tomorrow, because what happened was about 20 minutes into the conversation, one of Lori's legal team arrived. And so we paused the interview while she came in to get situated, but our cameras kept recording. And the interaction with me and Lori in that 90-second window was pretty interesting. Uh, Pretty interesting. I debated because it wasn't technically part of the interview showing you, but I will show you tomorrow. Half of you are angry with me. I know. I'm getting your emails. You're furious that I talked to her. I get it. I get it. You don't have to watch, and I understand. I respect that. Half of you have lots of questions because my email won't stop blowing up. But my apologies, I don't have that clip for the sickness. I've not that we edited anything out, but we've been cutting up different versions to put on YouTube and whatnot. And I've had a couple of shows reach out to talk about this. What I want to do now is fact check. Now, this is not everything. I'm going to go through these quickly. This is not everything in the interview. Because some of the questions and fact checking, you can check on yourself, and I don't want to spend the time. But let me just go through this quickly. I gathered 30. There's probably more, and I know many of you out there are so smart. You'll probably go through 100 and send them to me. Yes, it was her 52nd birthday. That is true. Communication with Chad not allowed, and postcards. That is true. They only are allowed postcards in and out of the prison, and in and out of the jail. And because Chad was a co-conspirator, no communication was allowed. So that is a true statement. She said that 220 people on death row have been exonerated. Partially true. Since 1973, 200 people in America have been exonerated. That's from the Death Penalty Information Center. She said that John Pryor came to her and told her that I'm going to blame you and Chad doesn't want me to. I do not know if that is true. I can't comment on that. She said the state paid an expert witness $1 million to be on a retainer. That is false. Her attorneys wanted Lori to sit for 5 years in Arizona to review the case. That's true-ish. I don't know about 5 years, but her attorneys in Arizona definitely wanted more time to defend her. And that's when Lori said no, and her old attorneys withdrew from the case. This new team came on when Lori was appointed to represent herself. She said that Detective Hope in Hermosillo called me after calling Heather Daybell. I wish I would have pushed back on her more on that. That is adamantly not true. In fact, I don't think I spoke with Hermosillo till this case was done. I mean, he was so careful about not talking to the media. Detective Hope, I never spoke with about it. Heather Daybell, we spoke, but I reached out to her way into this process. So that is not true. She said the state leaked stuff to the media. I wish. These prosecutors were not leaking anything. That is false. She asked if I watched Evan Almighty. True-ish. I watched it last night. I told a fib there. I told her yes, that I had watched clips of it. I honestly couldn't find it and had no interest in watching it until I did the interview. Believe it or not, told my wife, I'm like, we need to watch this. And so I did. She's like, you can watch it. I'm not watching it. She said that Zulema didn't tell the police that Alex said, I think I'm their fall guy. She did tell the police that. That is true. Lori is in max security, the protective custody. That is true. In fact, tomorrow, after this interview, we went to a cell and a pod, and they let us in. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you our little tour of the jail where she's at, where they go for outdoor activity, the conditions. She said it's bad. That is true. It is bad. And I'll show you around tomorrow night. We're going to do another courtroom insider. She said 8 women are facing death penalty in her pod. I put an inquiry about that. I have not heard back. I don't know if that's true. It could be that the 8 women could be awaiting trial. And if they're found guilty, they will face the death penalty. So it doesn't mean they are facing it. If they are, they would go to prison. So that's semi-true. Chad, I said he made around $30,000 a year. Based on my research, that is true. That's not where they were staying, in $1 million townhome complex in Hawaii. Believe me, I went there. It's gated. You can't get in, and they're pricey condos. She talked about Tylee having pancreatitis. From what I've been told, Tylee did have pancreatitis around 8 episodes in her childhood years, but after she moved to Hawaii, she never experienced another episode. She could get hospitalized for several days at a time, and it was painful. So Tylee did have pancreatitis. JJ did have autism. She said she never gave a date about the end of the world, that her and Chad didn't. And I'm pretty sure it was July 20th of 2020. Maybe that was something Chad said. She said that she was thrown down the stairs by Joe when she was pregnant. I don't know if that is true. She talked about Detective Moffat saying that he needed to get her on tape for something. I don't know if that is true. She talked about that they'll pull your teeth out in jail if you have a toothache. I don't know if that's true. She talked about the medical care not being good in jail. I don't know. She said Tammy died of natural causes. Tammy was originally, the coroner did say that she died of natural causes after they exhumed her body. They changed it. The ME in Utah actually ruled it as asphyxiation. Can you hear my phone buzzing? I'm sorry if you can, because that's you asking questions. Tammy, Heather Daybell talked about that. Autopsy photos of the kids in court, they were shown, and she said that that was the first time she had seen them. I have some pretty reliable sources that say that that's actually true, that she refused to look at them before going to court. She said that Lori said that she died when she gave birth to Tylee. Family members have told me they had never heard that before. Lori's church membership not being excommunicated. It is true that Chad has been excommunicated. I said that. We've seen the letter. He's been kicked out of the church. That's what that means. Her membership is I don't know. The church doesn't confirm membership records with individuals. She did move around a lot, so that could not be true or true. She did say that I'm LDS. I am LDS. She did say that President Nelson is gathering Israel. That is true. She talked about the 3 Nephites with the death penalty. I don't know about that. She talked about Colby and Tylee abuse. I'm not going to get anywhere near that tonight. I will tell you, I spoke with Colby Saturday. I did give him a heads up that this was coming. I spoke with Larry and Kay on Saturday to let them know. I reached out via text message to Tammy Daybell's family in Utah to let them know. And I had good conversations with all of them. Other than Samantha's family, Jason and them, we weren't able to touch base today. They've been traveling and I've been busy. Again, there are other claims in that interview that you can fact check and look up. And I will be playing more on that tomorrow. I will go back to that and I will try to get the audio fixed. And we'll also post the entire interview where without any breaks or my commentary. Now, I do want to pause for a minute because I get a lot of attention, but this guy, Jordan Wood, our camera photog, he packed all of that gear, found a production house in Phoenix to get us gear so that we could shoot this. We took suitcases, we got sandbags to set up this interview, and Jordan did amazingly well setting this up. He was nervous. We were told we had 30. He was nervous because this was a big interview. He was nervous because we had 30 minutes to set up, and I said, I want it done in 20 so we can be ready. And I mentioned I had a producer who happens to be my wife. She came along, notice her behind the camera pointed at me, holding my blue phone, taking pictures. You can see behind her, it was the guy in the plaid shirt is a jail sergeant. Next to him is the PIO, and next to him is another deputy. And then Lori's investigator, Jeff, is there in the white by that one camera, the center camera. He was the one who she kept looking at. But I want to thank my wife for coming in there. And guess what? Tomorrow night, she's going to be here to give her thoughts about Lori and the interview and the whole experience. And Jordan will also be here to share their thoughts. And we will talk about that, plus a lot more. Now, I have to give a huge shout out, newspapers.com. Your questions are coming up, and I have a preview about some future courtroom insiders. But for now, newspapers.com has been such an incredible supporter of East Idaho News and Courtroom Insider. They hopped on to sponsor us during the last trial. If you haven't been on newspapers.com, you know what I spent time over the weekend doing? I looked up Chad Daybell. There are so many articles on newspapers.com about Chad Daybell in the early days of him being an author. In fact, when he was in college or high school, he won some award. They called him Chad Ding Dong Daybell or something like that. There's not much about Lori, but they have, if you're big into crime, you got to go to newspapers.com. You can get a 7-day free trial, or newspapers.com/Nate. They're giving 20% off to all of you. This is a special link through July 31st. I found a contest that my mom entered in 1987 in West Jordan, Utah. All I did was type in her name, and this contest came up. She won 50 pounds of sugar. I sent it to her. She didn't know that she won. So maybe if they're watching the grocery store, I forget what it's called, she can get her 20 pounds of sugar. You can search crimes, you can search family history, whatever you want to search. Newspapers.com. Thank you for sponsoring Courtroom Insider, for being such a big supporter of us, and for being here.
Hello, guys. Are you there, Miss Ames? I figured it's already, he's not really going to go over much more of it, but is he on with, Omar's doing a stream with Dave Neal tomorrow. Hi, hey, Rob. I'm so glad everybody joined us, you guys. We have 76 people in our chat right now, and that's good for putting the live up about an hour before they came on. So tomorrow,
I'm here, baby.
there you are. I think tomorrow
I'm here.
I figured I'd stop it just because he's just gonna go into other things.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we could probably come on and watch the tour of the pods and stuff if you want to do that.
That would be awesome. That would be totally cool. I'd be totally down for that. And I love this. Yeah, everyone wants us to go on Omar's flight. I am totally down. Last time I fell asleep with my son, but I won't do that this time.
Okay, he has to have us on. That was required.
I mean, we all vibe together, and I love me some Omar. I love listening to him. He's so intelligent and has so much to say, and I just like bask in his awesomeness. So, and I bring a little personality to the place.
We'll say I also love Brad, and
I love Brad.
And
I love Rob.
Love Rob.
And I love Oregon. Yes. And our Missy girl who found us through Omar, and she has become an OG of our channel, and we love her here.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, Rob. See, he knows. He's one of his mods.
I love Bruce.
Oh, hey. Hi, honey, baby. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Thanks for lurking. We like lurkers.
We like lookers. And hey, if you're on a different platform, if you're over on X or whatever, come over to YouTube. We are Talk Time with Amy, Boston, and Kelly, and we have such a good time over here. Our chat is lit. There's no our chat's like not offendable. So if you're a bad kid,
there's only one rule: don't be a dick. That's it.
Yeah,
be nice.
Just don't be a dick to each other. But you know what, honey? I think this is the only chat I've ever been in that no one hurts each other's feelings. No one's a piece of shit, and everyone has a good time and jokes around. And that is the best part of our channel. Our channel. I know it's Talk Time with Amy in Boston, but this is our channel, kids. So, and I love it. I love it.
You can have a dick, but don't be a dick. That's right. That's the rule right there.
Yeah. I mean, please have a dick. Please have a dick.
Amy prefers that. Okay.
Girls or guys.
I already have. But
I gotta be careful.
Hey, Rosie.
I gotta be careful these days. Yeah. Oh, we got Rosie. Rosie, I just messaged you, honey. Look it up. Look your messages. Yeah.
We like to objectify people.
Active shooter objectified me a little bit in a post, and I kind of liked it. Footy. I know. I liked it. So
if there's no audio, Rosie, go out and come back in. Got to come out.
Yeah, go.
You
Yeah.
never say it.
And
No audio.
so today is Monday. We will probably go live tomorrow and go over Nate Eaton and like get more information about that interview with Lori because that was wild and it enraged me. The fact that she blames Tylee for all of this, she is a fucking see you next Tuesday. How
They
could
died
you?
2
She's
weeks
no
before.
mother. She
Tylee
had
died,
her kids for attention and didn't give a flying fuck about those kids.
and I am interested. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks before JJ. The last picture she has, they were at Yellowstone National Park with her and Tylee, and then that's the last picture anybody saw Tylee. Then after that,
Right.
she had JJ, and then 2 weeks later, that's when he was missing. So
And you know what?
she's full of it.
As someone who has an autistic nephew and for a mom who has an autistic son, it makes my heart breaks into a million pieces. She chose to adopt him, to love him, and to care for him, and to give him the best life that he possibly could. And that bitch has no remorse for what happened
all.
to that boy.
Oh,
No remorse. She
no.
thinks that she is part of the 144,000 that Jesus that talks to her
She
is going to allow her.
said that Colby's daughter came to her in her jail cell before she was born and told her that she did not care what her daddy thought, that she would always be her grandma.
Yep. Yeah,
was
she
like,
liked the checks that listen, she likes the checks. She liked the checks that she got for the disability for her fucking son. Let's all be real here. I'll call all spades. She was about the money. And that's why when she killed, that's when Charles was killed, they automatically called his life insurance company and they tried to get the money. Remember when Chad called and he said that he was Chad Daybell? Like,
Yeah.
come up with like you're an idiot. Like you look like an idiot, you act like an idiot, you talk like an idiot. And I'm gonna put this out there. He didn't care that they were throwing Lori under the bus. I think that he was playing her. I think that he believed some of the shit, but like he was just trying to get a better looking wife. Like he was married for 25 years to his wife and found Lori, and Lori comes across like she got some hoe in her. And he was about it. Someone pretty was after him, and he was like, sold.
You are not wrong. She does, but they did find her competent to stand trial, so at least she got that. But she needs help.
Not for nothing. Jails can force meds. Like you don't have a choice.
From my understanding, Tylee's dad had nothing to do in her life. She was adopted by Colby's dad.
Right. And I'm going to say it, like there are millions of children that get sexually assaulted by people when they're young, okay? But in my heart, I believe that Lori put that stuff in her children's head because the relationships didn't work out and she wanted them away from her and she wanted their money and for them not to have any custody. I hope that didn't happen to them, but I would put money on the fact that she put that in both kids' head. Two fathers, and she put that shit in that kid's head. Jay from Hall.
After I'm done here, I'm gonna watch Colby because I know he's gonna flip the fuck
Yeah,
out.
he's gonna flip the fuck out. Yeah. So kids, we got some lineups. We're gonna be here tomorrow night and we're gonna go over some more of East Idaho News. If you're not subscribed, go over and subscribe to our boy Nate at East Idaho News. Kelly put the link in the chat. And also we put the link for Kobe Ryan, his channel in the chat because it is definitely a good watch. We will go over.
Actually, so I'm also gonna send them. Colby just started another YouTube page that is, let me see, where is it? They have like one video. But him and Brandon Boudreau just started their own podcast page and their own media company. Brandon is
perfect.
She tried to murder. That was the last trial. So
okay, so I'm going to answer this question. The checks that Tylee received was from her blood father, because even though he wasn't allowed to see her, he still had to pay child support. But in the end, Lori ended up putting all of those checks into her account. She stopped giving it to Tylee. So there's that.
They were. That's when Nate went to Hawaii to find them. They were in Hawaii.
Yes.
They were getting married. They were refusing to talk to anybody. That's when Kay and her husband came up looking for the kids.
Yes. And not for nothing, thank God for Kay Woodcock. She is a hero in this story. She didn't give up. That was her grandson.
So
And she thought that she was giving her grandson to a loving family. And look what happened to JJ.
Right here that I just put in there, and comes up under Amy's name because it's under the StreamYard. But this right here is the link to Brandon and Colby's newest iPod or podcast channel.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, Kay and Larry. I love Larry. Larry gets my heart like Paul O'Keefe Sr. He has my heart because he loved that little boy like he was his own. And they would have taken him. Why didn't she just let them take him?
Like, ugh. It was good. It was Kay's daughter that had him. And that's why Charles.
It was Kay's son. Kay's son.
So
yeah,
they had him, and then Charles and her adopted him, and then you trust them with your grandchild, and then they not only kill your brother, they kill your grandchild too. Like,
and to blame your daughter for all of this when you know damn right that it was your brother and it was your fucking new husband. And I'm just going to say this, like, as a Catholic girl, right? Like, I'm not married. I have a child out of wedlock. And my priest, I'm going to tell you, my priest that gave me all my sacraments, okay, every single one, I know him since first grade. He gave my son a baptism, and he loves my son regardless of whether I was married. Okay.
Yeah.
When LDS is very strict.
9 months pregnant, so I'm not judging.
No, I mean but not all priests are bad. But what my point is, LDS does not appreciate when you get married, that is your life partner. You don't have 4 husbands in the LDS and considered an upstanding fucking citizen in LDS.
Excommunicated. They will not talk to you anymore.
They will not talk to anymore. And I'm going to put this out there. It's a fact that when they were both married, they went to the temple together and had sex inside the temple. And that's one of the things that LDS knows and why he got excommunicated. So that's a fact. Fact does not equal defamation. So come at me. Allegedly. I'll say allegedly, but it's a fact.
It's an alleged fact.
It's an alleged fact. I'm just gonna save myself here. But yeah, my hold on. I have my priest, I'm Catholic, like Irish Catholic, and my priest loves me and he loves my son, and he baptized him in a Catholic church, even though he was born out of wedlock, and I'm not married. Like, there are good people in the world, but LDS is very, very strict. When you get married, that is your life partner. That's who you're going to go into the universes with. Do you know what I'm saying?
I got married April 3rd of 1999 to Kevin, and Caleb was born May 5th of 1999. And then June 16th of 1999, I moved to Alaska. So there ain't no judging here. Like, Caleb was he's not an accident. He was my best surprise ever, but it's.
That's what it's supposed to be. Priest spread love and love everyone. I'm happy you're proud. You're priest. Yeah. And I still talk to him all the time, and he knows that I'm a wild card, and he loves me for exactly who I am and who my son is. And people talk about the Catholic Church and priests and this and that. It is a group of them, but not all of them are like that. But LDS is strict. They are strict.
And
Okay.
they're handsome. Oh, happy birthday, Noodles Mama. Baby boy turned 20 today.
Oh my God. Happy birthday, baby.
Her oldest, I think it's her oldest, turned 20.
Yeah. And you know what too? Lori's so delusional. Like in the LDS church, like it's a patriarchal society where only men are in high positions, and she thinks she's the next coming of Christ. She thinks that Jesus talks to her in her cell. There is no pill for the mental illness that Lori has, in my opinion. And hearing her tonight solidifies that she is a see you next Tuesday cuckoo bird.
Well, and I
And
want to
she's
play the
never gonna
interview with
change.
her at Nightline when she did it with Keith, what's his name, whatever. And this was actually mild because they only have 30 minutes to talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
It got caught off.
the other one was good.
Yeah,
and
I thought that was.
he was given a half an hour and was like, nope.
I went to Catholic school too, and I was an altar server. Remember how like altar servers were boys? As soon as altar servers could be girls, my dad was like, sign this up. And I was an altar server for many years. I was. Yeah. No, I don't believe that, Noodles. I think she belongs on fucking death row. And I think she should get the fucking shooting squad. But she got off by a technicality. Fuck that. Give her psychotics in jail and keep her in there. And I hope she gets hemmed up by a fucking by another inmate.
You don't believe that her and Chad are gonna get exonerated?
Yo, she still thinks that Chad's in love with her. Chad don't fucking love her. He threw her under the bus during his fucking trial.
Yeah, he blamed her for it.
He blamed her and he meant it. He said it with his chest, like this was her. Even though I believe it was him too, it was equal. And they did use Alex as a scapegoat and had him do all of this nasty stuff because he was brainwashed by these people. I believe that they were all, and you know what too? You don't need to be there to be a conspirator, okay? You are a legal conspirator when you have a plan that is executed and you were part of it. She's like, I was in Hawaii when Tammy died. Yeah, but so Puff Daddy was in fucking
Wendy Abelson was driving to the liquor store too, but she's still a co-conspirator.
Amen. Kids, watch who you hang out with. Keep your circle small. You are the 5 people closest to you, okay? And if your friends are criminals and they're doing shit and you're there and you're agreeing, you are a co-conspirator. So make sure you surround yourself with people who are not criminals doing criminal things, okay? Because just by guilty by association, you will get locked up. And this is a prime example.
Like Karen Reed.
What?
Or you'll be framed like Karen Reed.
Or you'll be framed like Karen Reed. I mean, that's kind of different.
The outsider. But
yeah.
So tomorrow we're going to be here tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know what time when I put it up. We're gonna watch Nate again and kind of watch what she goes through. And I think he said he's gonna play some more of the interview. And then Wednesday we're going to be here and we're going to be streaming during the day. What time is we'll have to figure out what time Koberger's trial, but his plea hearing, because if you haven't heard, Brian Koberger has taken a plea and has agreed to be to say he was guilty to all 4 murders as long as he doesn't get
I wonder if he's going to take an Alfred plea and not agree that he killed them, but take the fucking plea because of the evidence. I'm going to be waiting for that. That'll be interesting.
I don't know if they'll allow him to because they sounded strict.
Yeah, I want them to be like, no, there's no plea unless you admit that you did this.
Yes, and Alan Jackson will be on Saturday night with
I can't wait.
Breaking the silence.
I cannot wait. Oh my God, I cannot wait. All right, kids, it's getting late and we love you and I'm happy you're all here.
Thanks for hanging out with us for the hour and a half.
Listen to our intro. It's fucking sick.
Our
listen to our
outro.
intro.
If it plays this
Oh,
time.
I'm
that's
sorry,
fine.
I'm outro. Outro.
Let me make sure
Yeah.
it's on there. Okay, yeah, it's on there. But we'll see. If
Okay,
it
cool.
last time we were like, listen to it, and it didn't play. So but we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, bad kids. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
How am I supposed to say that? Talk time with Amy in Boston and Kelly. Time with Amy, Boston and Kelly. Talk 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 time with Amy, Boston and Kelly is a member, y'all. Is a member, y'all, to the Gene Deal Show. Talk time with Amy in Boston and Kelly. Talk time with Amy, Boston and Kelly. Talk time with Amy, Boston and Kelly is a member to the Gene Deal Show. Oh, thank you for your membership. Talk time with Amy and Boston and Kelly on the Gene.